Alright, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to be teaching you how to boost your anabolic hormones naturally, and there's going to be two main reasons for this. Number one, it gets you jacked and shredded effortlessly, a lot easier, with a lot more efficient results, without cardio or endless hours in the gym. And the second reason, it's going to eliminate all of your brain fog. You're going to be able to think mentally sharp, and yeah, so it's going to help you make your work and make your grind even more efficient. We're going to come on to that now. Let me just minimize this. Okay. Firstly, before we start, if you're like me, then all you want to do is just grind and be productive. And you want to level this up, then you are exactly like me. All I actually want to do now that I've realized, is to just be productive and to just grind, level up my IRL stats. So all I ever wanted to do as a kid was just grind video games, keep getting to the next level and just keep progressing. You may be a current entrepreneur or working hard in your job, or you're aspiring to be someone who makes enough money online in order to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And if you're like me, probably just to have the freedom to then grind on whatever you want, fighting, writing a book, anything. But the whole point is to have freedom to then grind on whatever you want, not to have freedom to then just go party, things like that. Like, it's to then grind. On this journey, in order to level up every single one of your IRL stats, strength, money, all of these things, you want to grind getting jacked and shredded. And if you're like me, you want to optimize this, because we all want to level up our stats. However, I want to do it as efficiently as possible, as fast as possible. So trust me, all I used to do was just research how to build muscle quicker, as I would never take steroids. So I wanted to optimize my diet and lifestyle in order to actually get the best results ASAP. And coming on to this point, another thing I wanted to do was eliminate all brain fog, because all I wanted to do was able to think sharp, and that's all I actually wanted to do, because I felt like I was suffering with brain fog. Wasn't ever able to think straight, wasn't even ever able to focus properly. Right now I'm awake, it's already 6 AM. This is second video being recorded, and if you haven't, you'll find out that I've got rid of all my brain fog. Now I'm actually able to think, able to focus properly, and there we go, it makes you smarter as well. So if you can relate to anything in this video, then great. If you can relate to any of these points, then great. You're very similar to me, and this is going to teach you a lot. But even if you can't relate, then there's still going to be plenty of value in this video, and it's going to help you optimize your anabolic hormone to get jacked and shredded, and then eliminate brain fog. Let's get straight into it. So what are the anabolic hormones? Testosterone, IGF-1, HGH, T3, T4. So IGF-1 and HGH, these are your growth hormones. And testosterone, we all know, is the king of male hormones. And there's also your thyroid hormones, T3, T4. So all of these hormones, these four, are super important for muscle growth, strength, fat burning, energy production, endurance, and blood flow. And these are super significant. A lot of people think any of these things, they just happen naturally nobody understands that your hormones is what actually causes these things to happen. Without your hormones, none of these things would happen. You could go to if all of these hormones were wrecked, you could go to the gym, you could be doing everything perfectly, but without these hormones, none of these things will happen. So testosterone is mainly for all of these actually. Growth hormones are for fat burning, energy production, muscle growth, strength, and the thyroid hormones are super important for energy production. Those are the main role of that. Then we've got insulin, which, if you don't know insulin, when you eat carbs, your body raises insulin in order to reduce the level of your blood sugar. So when you eat anything like bread, fruits, any type of carbohydrate, it breaks down into sugar, and your body cannot have such a high level of sugar, so therefore it releases insulin in order to reduce the sugar down. That's just a simple explanation of it. But there's many side effects of insulin, like the fact that it blocks fat burning. This is because you've got too much sugar in your blood, so you can't actually burn fat. It blocks leptin, increases estrogen, which we're going to come on to next. It can lead to inflammation, which worsens the balance of every single one of these hormones. One thing that you need to really take into account is the balance of these hormones are super important. You just don't want to just have super high testosterone and the rest of them not be balanced. You need to balance all of these things, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Then we got ghrelin and leptin. These hormones are super important because these are in charge of your hunger, satiety, and metabolism. So if you feel hungry ever, this is literally all down to your ghrelin, and your satiety level is based on leptin. That's roughly how it works. So if you can optimize your ghrelin and leptin to be hungry and satiated whenever your body actually tells you to, then you're going to work a lot more efficiently, because you're not going to be having these hunger swings, always hungry, always snacking, never full. And spoiler here, but insulin blocks leptin. This is why you're probably always hungry, always able to snack. You can't go a long period of time without eating. Then we got estrogen and cortisol. These they are essential to our body. However, you do need to be very careful with the balance of these, because if estrogen's too high, then leads to fat gain, weakens joints, and water retention. So something that's super important here is your testosterone to estrogen ratio. This is it's probably more important than your testosterone in the first place. The testosterone to estrogen balance is super needed. Because otherwise it can lead to fat gain, weakened joints, switches off muscle growth, any of these things. And cortisol. When your baseline cortisol is too high, it can lead to fat gain, breaks down muscle for energy, ruins sleep, and kills all of these other hormones. So you want to be making sure that all of these hormones are balanced. So let's get straight into the first thing that I found in order to actually optimize these hormones. It is the carnivore diet. This is the most impressive thing that I've ever seen that actually optimizes your hormones. But it makes sense when you think about it. When you eat your evolutionarily appropriate diet, your body goes back to its primal state, because you and your whole bloodline would die if your ancestors' hormones were not optimized. Basically what this means, if your ancestors' hormones were messed up just like this, then they would die, because they wouldn't be able to properly perform any of their functions. They wouldn't be able to hunt, they wouldn't be able to survive or thrive, and so therefore their hormones had to be optimized. There was no option, because if you look at evolution and humans over their whole lifespan, then they've had to be eating a diet that's actually appropriate for them, and for the majority of the time this was the carnivore diet, as this is what our bodies live to thrive on. So this is the most impressive that I've seen that actually optimize your hormones, and let me explain why. So number one, you're getting large amounts of animal fats. Animal fats, things like butter, tallow, the fats actually in the meat, eggs, all of these things. Cholesterol is the building block of every single one of your hormones. Every single one of your anabolic hormones in your whole body is made of cholesterol. Every cell in your body needs cholesterol. So now when you are eating a carnivore diet, you're getting a lot more animal fats, and therefore you get enough cholesterol in order to build every single one of your hormones, and especially the anabolic ones. This is super important, because now your body has enough of the building blocks to build these hormones. Secondly, you get no poisons. And I know a lot of people might freak out when they see this, but vegetables, plants, grains, by grains I mean bread, pasta, any sort of starchy carbohydrate like that, that is made from flour, things like that. Seed oils, preservative, sugar. You get none of these poisons. Every single food on the planet except meat and fat will have some sort of poisons in order to actually protect itself. Well, not necessarily to protect itself, but it's got some things that are damaging to the human body. And all of these poisons cause inflammation, bloating, acne, brain fog, and this is all because of the imbalance of the hormones, the anabolic hormones. So once you remove all of these poisons from your body, then you end up balancing your hormones, because there's nothing that wrecks the production of some and worsens the balance of the others. I go into detail a lot more on another video about the carnivore diet, so if you learn exactly how to use the carnivore diet, then check that video out. This is just a brief explanation of how it optimizes your hormones. Next, we get 0 anti-nutrients. These are found mainly in grains and plants. Lectins, tannins, oxalates, phytic acid. There's a lot more, but these are just a couple examples of the plant defense chemicals that are found in these things, and they block the absorption of key minerals. I'm sure a lot of you by now know how important a lot of the key minerals are. Things like zinc, magnesium, iron, super important for hormone production, and these things block the absorption. So if you eat like some eggs or meat, you're getting a lot of zinc, iron, magnesium, and however, if you pair this with some grains and plants, then it blocks out the production, blocks out the absorption of those super vital minerals. And a lot of you might think, oh, this isn't that important because we're still getting some, right? We're still getting a lot of the key nutrients, and you are. However, a lot of people don't understand the extent to which these actually block the absorption. There was a study done with phytic acid in grains and zinc, because the study was people would eat oysters, which are the most abundant source of zinc on the planet. They've got the maximum, like the most amount of zinc possible, and when they were paired with phytic acid, which is found in many things like bread, every single grain, when it was paired, it reduced the absorption of the zinc by almost 100%. Like, think about that. The most abundant source of zinc on the planet, and you absorbed almost 0% of it because of the phytic acid. So do not underestimate the damage that these can do to the absorption of the key minerals. Because now, once you remove these things, you're going to be straight absorbing all of the key minerals, and these are just super important for your hormone production and just your overall health. Next, it's a superior source of energy. By this I mean ketosis is the energy production system that your body uses once you are on a carnivore diet, and this is super therapeutic because it optimizes all of your hormones while burning fat. This is because your insulin, as we mentioned before, is always low and stable, and therefore and additionally you're not eating any carbs, so your body has to produce energy in a different way, because normally you'd be getting your energy from carbs. So therefore we burn ketones instead, which your body makes from fat in the liver. And why this is important is because this process in of itself is super therapeutic to your body, and it optimizes your hormones while burning fat. All the anabolic hormones it helps boost, and some people say that ketosis can boost cortisol, which is not a good thing. However, there's no long-term studies that actually show this, and if this was truly the case, then our ancestors would have probably died out a long time ago. So I don't really believe that. If you don't believe ketosis is good for you, then how comes babies are born in ketosis? How comes the most vital stage of your life, when you were born, you're in ketosis? And when you're in ketosis, your brain fog will completely be gone. It will be eliminated. This is because carbs and insulin is literally what causes your brain fog. And therefore, once you remove the carbs, you remove the brain fog. Seems super simple, but it's going to 10x the amount of focus and performance that you actually have. So do not underestimate that. And finally, you've got low and stable insulin constantly because you're not eating carbohydrates. This balances leptin and ghrelin, and you're not going to be getting your cravings, your hunger swings, because your leptin and ghrelin are balanced. Your body's going to tell you when you actually are hungry, when your body needs food in order to produce hormones, in order to produce energy. Your body's going to tell you when you need food, and it's going to tell you when to stop eating food. That's why you'll see many carnivores, they can eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories. They just eat as much as their body tells them, and they're able to stay lean. Let me show you real quick on this board. Here. I'm not sure if you've seen this creator, Steak and Butter Gal. She is a high-fat carnivore. She eats, look here, she's eating here 4,300 calories. Who would expect her to eat 4,300 calories? However, when you're on a carnivore diet, you are able to eat as much as you want, as your body tells you to, while still staying lean. And look here, she used to eat 1,600 calories, so it's not like she's just got a super high metabolism. It's because now her body is optimized to burn fat for fuel, and therefore you can eat as much as your body tells you to. Okay. For these reasons, it leads to a nearer perfect balance. Like, it will bring you closer to the perfect balance of all of these anabolic hormones. Therefore, it's going to skyrocket your muscle gain, fat loss, while eliminating brain fog and making you mentally sharper than ever. This will boost your testosterone, growth hormones, and thyroid production. It balances ghrelin, leptin, estrogen, and it keeps your cortisol and insulin low and stable. Next, after you've adopted a carnivore lifestyle, you're going to see massive improvements in your mental performance and physical performance. But then there's more lifestyle changes that you can make in order to optimize your anabolic hormones. Number one, sunlight. You're going to be getting as much sunlight as possible. Vitamin D acts as a hormone regulator, and it helps convert your cholesterol into testosterone, reduces cortisol. Think about it, our ancestors used to be in the sun all day, so this is why it's super good for your hormones. No alcohol. Alcohol unfortunately kills every single hormone in your body. It wrecks every single one. The balance is going to be messed up massively, and it breaks down testosterone, turns it into estrogen. It's not good for any hormone in your body, and it's going to worsen the balance massively. Sauna, I've seen it helps you it helps release anabolic hormones and of like growth hormone and testosterone, and additionally it removes microplastics and helps you sweat out the toxins in your body. Sweats out heavy metals, things like that, which is super important because it is going to lead to reduced inflammation and greater release of these hormones. Fasting. Fasting is incredible for the boosting of your anabolic hormones. It increases your testosterone, boosts in growth hormones, helps overall reduce cortisol. And the best way to be doing fasting is many days you want to be doing intermittent fasting. That's what I've found is the most important. I don't do it intentionally anymore. I just end up eating 1 or 2 meals throughout the day. However, if you do want to be doing long-term fasting, such as like doing 1 meal a day for a long time, then this is super important. It helps your body reduce a lot of the inflammation, and yeah, so fasting is incredible for all of these hormones. Next we got walking. Walking is super underrated. A lot of people nowadays, they barely walk. They just sit indoors all day. And walking is super important. You explore nature, which firstly is like a should be the main reason. However, it does reduce your cortisol, and it's super important because when you have high cortisol, the balance of your other hormones messes up massively. So you want to be reducing the baseline level of your cortisol, and walking is super good for that. Sprinting and intense lifting. This boosts all anabolic hormones, and it makes sense because when you're doing these super high intensity processes with your body, you need all the testosterone and growth hormone as possible in order to perform. If we're going back to ancestors, when you'd be doing these things, this is when you're hunting, and that's why you would need the most amount of testosterone and growth hormone, and that's why it's super beneficial to be doing sprinting and intense lifting. Additionally, doing these things reduce your baseline level of cortisol, because throughout the whole day now, once you start intense lifting and sprinting, your natural baseline cortisol levels is going to be lower than normal, and therefore your body's going to be able to upregulate the release of other super important hormones like growth hormone, like testosterone. And finally, sleeping. This is when a lot of your growth hormone release actually happens, and bad sleep increases cortisol, which you don't want. So the best thing that I can say in order to improve your sleep is not to be getting any blue light before bed. You can wear things like this, blue light blocking glasses, and don't be using your screens 1 hour to 2 hours before bed. Additionally, you want to be looking at the sunset, looking at the sunrise. This helps reset your circadian rhythm and tells your body when to be awake and when to sleep. It's almost like the whole world was perfect before before humans took over and modernized the whole thing. You'd be able to listen to your body. Your body would tell you when to sleep, when to wake up, what to eat, when to eat, but that's all been messed up in modern times. Finally, high volume weight training. This can boost muscle growth and fat loss massively. We all know weightlifting is good for testosterone, but there is a way to optimize this in order to boost all of the anabolic hormones. High volume weight training, I go into detail in this in another YouTube video. So if you learn exactly how to do high volume weight training to boost every single one of the anabolic hormones and to actually grind and get jacked on your journey, then watch that video. So basically what high volume weight training is when you do 10 to 20 sets per exercise. So yeah, you end up doing like 50-60 sets each exercise each day, and this is instead of doing high intensity. This is the opposite of high intensity. High intensity training is when you're doing 2 or 3 sets, super intense, fatiguing yourself. But yeah, this is when you do 10 to 20 sets per exercise. If you want to learn exactly how to do it, then check out that video. So number one, you're going to be having shorter rest times in between your sets because you're doing 50 or 60 sets. This doesn't drop your heart rate back to resting. So your heart rate is going up during the set, then it's going slightly back down, not all the way back down to resting, and then you do the next set. This leads to a constant higher release of testosterone, growth hormones, and this is obviously going to lead to more muscle growth. Each set is not to failure, because obviously if you're doing 50 sets, to all of them to failure, you're going to be wrecking yourself. So no set is fully to failure. Maybe a few of them, your last few sets, you can do to failure. However, most of the sets are not to failure. Therefore, you're not fatiguing your whole CNS system. Instead of reaching failure on each set, you're reaching failure on each exercise. And what I mean by this is you're reaching failure with the amount of sets you can do rather than the amount of reps that you can do. So you're not fatiguing your central nervous system, because you're not getting massive, and therefore you're not getting massive cortisol stress spikes, and you're recovering better. And when you're not getting these massive cortisol spikes, you're balancing other hormones because you're not overtraining, and therefore you can get a better release of the other hormones. And lastly, you'll be doing better form, because you're not going to be, your last few reps you're still going to be using good form. You're not going to be swinging the weights, things like that. Therefore you're going to have a more controlled eccentric and higher release of testosterone, IGF-1 and HGH, and it's going to lead to more muscle growth. Additionally, more mechanical tension on each of the muscles is going to lead to more muscle growth. As we can see, this type of training is a lot better for hormone optimizing, and therefore can help you get jacked and shredded faster, more efficiently, as it boosts anabolic hormones. Hopefully this video has taught you exactly how to boost the anabolic hormones naturally. If you're like me, then you know that all we want to do is just optimize, make everything as efficient as possible, get the greatest ROI from the work that we do. It kind of ties into working smarter, not harder. However, in this case, you'll be working smarter and hard, and therefore you can get better results in a short period of time, more efficiently. You're going to be wasting less time, learning from the mistakes of others and myself. So yeah, you will be boosting your anabolic hormones, super important. Additionally, eliminates brain fog. Greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I can think clearly, super focused all the time, whenever I want to be, actually. Like, if I want to be focused, I can. So therefore you can just focus on your grind, focus on your craft. So hopefully this video has helped you optimize your hormones to do these two things. Hopefully you take some value from this video, and yeah, check out the carnivore guide and the high volume training guide if you want to learn exactly how to do those two things, to get jacked, get shredded, and also to completely eliminate brain fog. This was just a brief introduction of both these things. Today was talking mainly about hormones. The other videos are explaining fully in detail how these things will properly get you shredded, get you jacked, how to do them, how to start them, common mistakes, all of those things. So yeah, check those out.